Welcome back to another episode of the ByteTalk podcast. My name is Johnny, and I'm here with my good friend Zeno. Together, we talk with some of the most productive people in tech. We discuss tooling, setups, open source, no code, big tech, startups, and much more. Today, we have with us Demian or Demian?
Yes, Demian. Yes.
Demian Borba.
Hey guys, good seeing you. Thanks for the invite.
It's great having you
great to have you.
here, Damon. We're super excited to talk to you. You have been working so many different things throughout the years. I think the first time that I saw your name was something related to Flash, maybe a user group meeting or something like this. And I'm curious, to hear from you. How was as a Flash lover, I worked with Flash too. How was dealing with that whole transition in the market when Flash eventually fade out a little bit. Let's put it that way.
That's a nice way of saying it. No, it's a very crazy story. I'm 40 years old now, so not that young, and more than 10 years of my life was really around Flash, and I built my whole, I would say, initial part of my career on Flash. I was a Flash developer for many years, working for agencies, and really started in 98. I don't know when you guys were born, but I started working with Flash in 98, and I remember just falling in love with the tool because it was a very clean, open canvas, and you could do anything you wanted, right? It was free form, no rules. You could go crazy on anything. And then did a lot of websites, apps. And I think when you heard my name was mostly in the later years when I was organizing conferences. So I organized this conference called Flash Camp Brazil.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I did it for 4 years in a row, and it was amazing. And that was a very good connection to the industry, and opened a ton of doors that eventually got me into channels at Adobe, and I joined Adobe. I worked for Adobe for 6 years. And when it started to die, that time I was running an agency in San Diego, and I was teaching at UCSD, teaching Flash as well. It was tough, but we were still able to do a lot of work, and we were supporting other agencies to go through the technical challenges that they had. So work was still active, and seeing that die was, I think, just a learning experience for everyone, because it was amazing to go that deep into one thing for so many years and then just see it pretty much evaporate. That really helped me get to a mindset today that I'm a lot more focused on the problem and a lot less focused on the solution. And that really helped me validate, because a product is just a product, right? What we're trying to do is really solve problems and get closer to people. So I think it was tough. You taught me. I remember I hired you guys to teach some BlackBerry developers there on a lot of the basics of JavaScript and HTML back then. So that was a fun transition, and it's funny because today I see not that many anymore, but I see some people saying oh, look at what HTML can do, and all this amazing library to apply effects to cameras. And I was like, man, we did that, or AR, we did that in Flash 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and it's just that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was a wild ride for sure.
Yeah, it's so hard because when we start as developers, we are really attached to the tooling, right? It's almost like we make our identity based on a certain platform, technology, programming language. So I imagine that going through that changed you completely, right? The way you perceive technology.
Totally, and you get deep into the details, right? At one point, I was really close to the Flash player team and understanding every little bit of the technology and helping to make it evolve. And many years later, I was working with the same architects at Adobe. I was just doing something else, a new product, but it was crazy to tell them like, hey guys, we're gonna do this and that, and those are the guys that did the Flash player that helped me for so many years. But yeah, I think it's learning, and it was worth the ride. I made tons of friends, and um, I had amazing moments. I think the biggest moment of my life because of Flash was in the end of my time with the agency here. Like it was 2012, and it was 2011 actually. It was very like the market, the economy was doing horrible here in the U.S. And finding new businesses was really hard. And then some people started like leaving the agency and all that. And at one point it was like, okay, it's pretty much very few people still here like running the agency, making it happen. And then I went to this hackathon in Vegas, huge hackathon, 3,000 developers. It was the AT&T hackathon to 2012, and we spent 2 days there coding, and we did it all in Flash. So we were able to create this very nice tablet app, and in the end, we ended up winning, and that was like a big shift in my career because BlackBerry saw that they were sponsors, and then they offered me a position as a developer advocate. So even when I was leaving the
Wow.
Flash era, I think Flash helped me find like the next opportunity.
Wow. How did
Yeah.
you know what to pivot to after that? Like, it sounds like that was a lesson where you started to approach your career differently, but you still probably had to then transition to new programming languages or frameworks. How did you know which one to pivot to?
Yeah, it's funny, right? I think JavaScript was the closest thing to ActionScript, in a sense that like it was very close to the language. And I remember when I was working for BlackBerry, I was doing a lot of Flash work, and at the same time, I started doing Angular work because it was okay. This is something interesting. Like, it's a good framework that I can really get me faster into. That was like Angular 1, a long time ago. And as a developer, I think even in the Flash days, I think you really have to keep pushing yourself and always trying to stay update. I was like when I worked with Zeno and Bernard there to train us, it was really like, yes, we know a lot of things, but let's bring these young kids that can really teach us like the ins and outs of the language, and it will just give us more. It's going to speed up our learning process, right? But even now, like I'm 40 years old, I'm still learning. I'm curious about Zeno's book, and uh, I always keep like trying to learn, trying to really get better. I think you never stop, and I think that if you just stop, you're like, what's the point? Like I think if you stop as a developer, it's over.
And you always had that connection with the community too, right? Regardless of the
Yeah.
platform that you were using, you were always like organizing events or meetups. So always like in touch. So why is that? Like, how do you like approach
I
community?
don't know. Like I just did this test. I joined into it now, and I went through like an assessment of my work type, and it was more on the influence side of things, like taking risks, being like motivating more people and making things happen. I was always like that. I hate to do the same thing over and over again, so I get bored very easily. So I always try to do the new thing that no one did before. So when I did the flash camps, like I was in Maceió. Maceió is a very small city in Brazil. Like probably has like a very small developer community, but I was there and I was really connected with the flash industry because of the internet. And I was like, I will organize a conference here. And then I started pinging people, and this was before all these amazing conferences, and it was me and my mom organizing everything. I never forget, after the end of the first flash camp, I was so tired, and so because I I I didn't have a plan B for things that go wrong, and all the energy for plan B went like to make plan A better, and then things go wrong in a conference, right? And then you have to deal with all that. So I never forget. I went to the back, and I was laying down and I was throwing up. Like I
Wow.
was like, that was it. That was it. I was dead,
Wow.
like, and then but I learned, right? And I think by being kind of like almost like I don't care, I just want to do it. I think you did the same, Zeno. Like I see a lot of your initiatives is I don't care. I'll do it the best way I can. No one did this before. I'll do it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, great. I'll learn and I'll move forward. And you never think of like too much of like if this doesn't go well, like that was never part of my plan. And somehow I was able to read good signals, like and go to like more, I would say, successful paths and reaching out to like to the right people. And like for example, I visited a conference in LA, and I went to the Adobe booth and I was like, hey, I was like what 25 years old, I think. It was like I went to this director. I was, hey, I'm Demian. I live in the city, Maceió. Do you want to speak in my conference? And I showed him pictures of Maceió, and that's how everything started. And it's relationships and not being kind of not. I would say like not think too much. Just do it. Be biased for action.
Yeah.
And that took me here. I graduated in computer science in a very small city, Maceió, and now I'm here in a huge tech company. So I think that was good because of just doing it.
Like I feel like people, they undervalue the importance of being present in a community, right? And like the amount of good things that you take from that experience is unbelievable, right? And
Yeah.
I'm curious, like,
Teaching.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like that. Just to teaching is amazing, right? Like I started teaching because I just felt so like good when I saw that person going from point A to point B, and you were kind of the fire that was helping that person navigate the challenge. And the community is that at a much higher level, right? You can really get to, and the amount of people that I know that today, that little crazy event for many years, like that helped so many people get visibility and connect to others. And it's just, that's the reward. It's not the money. It's just like helping people. And it's just I just have like, now that I'm 40, I just have this new perspective in life, which is the only way you can really feel like fulfilled is by helping others. It's not for you like getting a fancy car or getting a fancy house. Like, of course you have to look out for your family and all that, but if you help, you're gonna be like really, really fulfilled.
Would you organize another conference, or are you think about helping in different ways nowadays?
I thought about it, but then I look at all the amazing conferences that are happening today. I was like, yeah, there's already a great conference. Like, I don't want to be like just another one. So I'm always trying to do the something that no one did before. Like when you did design system package, was like, yeah, no one did this. Let's do this and let's learn and let's iterate. When I look at conferences, there's so many. I don't think I can do a better job than what other people are doing today, conference wise. Um, but who knows? I started a personal project more recently, and that's going to hopefully go like and influence a lot of lives too. So and not, it's a new thing too.
Nice. I would love
Is
to.
it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to hear. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
too early to share anything, but I'd love to hear about your project.
Yeah, no, I can share. I can share the context. Last year, my son, I have two kids. One, Maya is 6 years old, and Noah is two. Last year, Noah had this crazy disease called Kawasaki disease that it's very rare. No one knows about it. Like how you get it. There's no like cause, known cause, and he went through a very tough time for almost a month, like with a lot of big problems and like inflammation in his body and we were at the hospital for many, many days, and I had to give him injections and all that. But after all that process, a lot of prayers, a lot of connection to a lot of people, and this trial that they were running here at one hospital, he ended up with like two aneurysms in his heart, and then because of that trial, he got cured. So after that blessing, I was like, come on, I need to do something that's more like on the give back side of things. And then I decided to create this platform for the way we're envisioning it. It's a platform for anyone, any coach, or maybe aspiring coaches to review athlete performances. So if you, let's say you go to the gym or you surf or you do like anything, you can record your performance and then coaches can review it in a very easy and fast way, um, very direct way. And a portion of the payments will, the revenue will go to people in need, maybe that gym that doesn't have the money to grow in all that different countries. So that's our plan. We're planning to launch it in the end of June. It's going well. We're validating with some coaches, but yeah, just an idea of something that was never done before at this level, and trying to simplify the complexity of that challenge is being a very good experience. Yeah. So who
That's
knows?
really cool. Like how that personal experience that I'm sure was really hard. Like even giving injections to your own son. Like I can't imagine anything. I don't have kids, but I can only imagine any sort of pain to your kids, but also something that you have to also participate in is so hard.
It was tough.
But it's
Yeah.
cool to see how that's like spawned out also a generosity and a way for you to get back. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, and during that tough time, we got help from so many people. Like, and not even people that we didn't know. Like, people were like reaching out to us, praying for us, and it was just so big, so amazing. And I just said, man, like we need to do something that's more real and more like we're here to. This is so fast. Our life is so fast. Like I did a lot of like stupid things when I was younger. I remember like getting a fancy car, like and using all my money to pay for that car, and that just becomes stuff, you know. And now that I went through that phase, it's a lot more about helping others, and that's really like amazing. It's a transformative experience for sure. I know I don't know you, Johnny, a lot, but Zeno does a lot of that with community and helping others. Always very polite, even when people attack him. I saw I saw some posts and everything.
I'm
Yeah.
sure we could
Yeah,
pull up
it's like
some nice tweets.
yeah, haters gonna hate, right?
Yeah.
But it's. I think you do a lot of that. So yeah, good job on that.
No, but I love how like those experiences they tend to just transpond technology and transcend technology as a whole, right? And um, like we are so empowered to do stuff because of all the experiences that we have, all the technology that we know, and we sometimes just put ourselves in our own bubbles. And
Yeah,
it's really like it's really hard for me to even think about projects outside tech because I'm so into it, right?
yeah.
And but I feel like maybe like even with the hobbies, I know you love surfing. I believe like those kinds of things they kind of help you get outside of that bubble.
Oh, totally. And the world is full of problems to be solved, right? Like, and if you get closer to maybe it's surfing for me, but maybe areas that you guys love, and you connect with users, with people that do that stuff, you'll find opportunities to do something. And we're blessed to know technology and then use technology to just validate the hypotheses that we have. But again, always falling in love with the problem and never with the solution. And that was a big change too. Like when I was young, I remember trying to be this. I wanted to be the best agency with the best work with, and just to impress others. And like that was so stupid. Now looking back, like all I want to do is provide to my family, help others, and just like build things in a way that can be sustainable. Like if you have like let's say this personal project, I will have to pay the bills. So it's okay to be profitable and also have that purpose with giving back. And yeah, I think I'm a very different person than I was many years ago, for sure.
I think there's a quote at our work, Zeno, that's like profit is like oxygen. You need it to survive, but you don't. It's not the reason you survive.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's exactly what you're saying. Like, so often we flip it, right? We make that the reason that we go to work, that we, start the project or whatever. But it's really
Yeah.
just like a fuel, for doing much better things.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Purpose is really important. I remember a tweet from you, Zeno, saying that motivation was very hard, and like you have to really value that. I think something along those lines. And I remember working so much with the work at Adobe and all that, but I wanted to make progress because the purpose of giving back was huge. So even when I was super tired, I was like, okay, we need to give back. Let's do it. So the purpose was really driving the actions, uh, and that's why we're able to launch very soon. But finding that motivation was really fueled by purpose, for sure.
And I feel like we get caught into like, okay, if we are helping other people, then we need to like forget about money, right? We need to be like either create a nonprofit or build a open source project, and like, and at least that's how it was for me. I always viewed like the monetization side of things as evil, right? Like, oh
Evil.
yeah, and it's insane, right? Like you need that,
Yeah.
like your paycheck. Okay, this is Friday. Your paycheck probably like got into your bank account for a reason,
Yeah.
something happened. Like there's some machine that generated that revenue, and
Yeah, no, it's very true. And yeah, as we want to like change the world, young and all that, so then we just think evil and yeah, but mm, profit is really the fuel for any business, right? And in order to help others with the give back initiative, we have to generate revenue. And that's it. That's simple. Um, yeah.
And I know, like, for the last couple of years, you dedicated a lot of time to Adobe, right, as a platform, and
Yeah.
specifically Adobe XD. I know that when I open Adobe XD now, like on the startup screen, I see your name. So, how is the feeling of like being on an Adobe product startup screen? It's really impressive, right?
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, no, back to the Flash days. I remember like when I first joined Adobe as a product manager and I was leading the first mobile app for XD for both Android and iOS. And a lot of people on the iOS team, especially engineers, as I said, they were architects on the Flash player. And then I was sitting in rooms with them like telling them what to do. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was like that was crazy. So it took me some time, some years to kind of relax more and not be too, I would say, like afraid of that world. And then by the end of it, you realize that it's just people, right? Very dedicated people trying their best work, uh, and like especially nowadays, like really connecting with users, making sure we solve the right problems. That experience that I had with you guys and all the other partners was amazing. It was the best. Was I think was the highlight of my career. Creating a new spec, uh, working with a ton of partners to validate the spec was simply phenomenal. And seeing my name there, it's still there. I think it will take some maybe 2 or 3 releases before they kick me out, but it's still there.
So you still have time to take a screenshot and save it forever, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'll
great.
stay there. They move you to the special thanks area, like at the very
Ah,
bottom. But yeah,
Nice.
it's still there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really amazing. It was, and also seeing from the inside, right? When you look as a consumer, you always have this big like I don't know like expectation that things are super organized. Everyone is together from like I thought the Photoshop team was together for I don't know 20 years, but then you join the company and you see it's very chaotic, very flexible, engineers and designers and PMs, they move all the time. It's a very like fast-paced machine, and never super organized. So it was amazing to see it from the inside. And
That's like
also
a
with Intuit now, I think joining Intuit is nice because they hope to be the financial like assistant of the in your pocket, and they are the leaders in many areas already, like taxes and bookkeeping and all that. But seeing that big purpose, and also like a huge thing there is, I think it's called prosperity, like or seeking prosperity or something like that. Uh, uh, oh, the values: integrity without compromise, courage, customer obsession, stronger together, we care and give back. So those are the values of Intuit, and I was like, it's perfectly aligned with my time now. I'm investing a lot more in like crypto and like different properties. I just want to make sure that I'm at a different phase of my career now that I can, if I can understand this world of finance more, I think it just matched, and they have purpose. So it was a natural. Uh, Leaving Adobe was hard, was crazy hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never thought I would do it, but the opportunity was so good that I just took it. Yeah. And I was always questioning myself, like, why Zeno is not like a Google or a big company like that. I still have that question in my mind.
Not good enough. Not good enough. No, just kidding.
Nah.
No, no, it's
Just to
but
see it from the inside, you
yeah.
know.
yeah. It's funny you mentioned like the what what you thought Adobe was going to be like, and then actually getting there and realizing how almost normal. At least that's how you made it
Yes.
sound. Like just another
Yes.
team happens to be working on a well-known, end product or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's still just a bunch of humans trying to figure
Yes.
out how to work together, and dysfunction and chaos and turnover and all the normal stuff, lack of
Yes.
documentation, all that good stuff. And
So true. So
but that's
true.
such a big misconception. I mean, even like saying that right now, I can immediately switch over and be like, oh yeah, but at Google, I'm sure it's like just this well-oiled machine of the most highly effective people in the world, But I don't think
Yeah.
they're. I've never heard of that place from the people inside, like
No, yeah,
anywhere,
it's
any
never
company.
like that. Yeah. And I worked for PayPal. It was the same thing. I worked for BlackBerry. It was the same thing. Adobe, same thing. Every company has a different culture, a different pace, but it's people, right? It's people trying to solve problems. And one thing that I might say, like at least like the engineers at Adobe, I was a developer advocate for many years, and I thought I was a good engineer. But when I got there, like like especially the Photoshop guys, like
Wow.
there are a ton of like PhD like people there, and they just yeah, it's science. It's a lot more than
Wow.
coding. Yeah,
Yeah, how
it's
was
really like
like you had a very unique career in the fact that you were a developer, you moved to developer relations, and then product management. So like
yes.
from that, like there's so many different transitions, right? What How do you see each one of them right now? Like, and what are the things that you like it better, and what are the things that you don't like?
Yeah, I think being a PM is really what I've done my whole life. Like when I did the conferences, that was being a PM, right? I was finding a problem, I was defining some strategies, and I was executing. I was working with people. In this case, it was me and my mom, but more people, of course, executing on that. So I always felt I was this doer, this person that would make things happen. And then as a developer, you really have to follow a lot of processes, and it changes a little bit. But then when I got back to PM in 2015, like formally landing my first PM job at Adobe, um, I just felt in love because it was that initial passion that I had. Like you can make things happen, things that don't exist yet. You can work with real people and unpack their problems, their implicit needs, and just start testing things out and incrementally like iterate, and then just just deliver value, that's an amazing opportunity. Uh, and it's a lot more like dealing with people and expectations than actual like coding. And but it was, I think PM is what I've done my entire life, but now I have a title behind it.
Totally. Yeah.
And
That's
you
totally true.
too, right? And you're like you're on
Yeah.
the product side of things now. You just ended up being the engineer as well in the past, but now you're more on, I think, the business opportunity. I think it's a natural evolution. You're maximizing your effort, right? Like you spend all that effort building coding. Now how can I maximize the effectiveness of this thing? Like just make sure it will get the best traction possible. I see your tweets about, you share all the progress that you make, and that's amazing. And some people don't like that, right? Some people, like, again, haters gonna hate, but yeah, keep doing that. That's amazing.
Yeah, for me too, like thinking about, okay, how can I better help my team? I could definitely just sit down and code, but like maybe are those like 4 hours that I'm gonna be sitting there coding are gonna be more effective if I put somewhere else, right? And that's the thing that I always try to think about. And I felt that change too, like when comparing product management with developer relations, they are very similar too,
Yeah.
right? You're talking to users, you're all the time like understanding how they use the product. Maybe it's a little bit more technical, but the essence is the same.
Yeah.
But the power, and that's the difference that I felt. Like the level of authority that you have as a PM is much higher. Like the
Yeah.
influence that you can actually make in the product is higher, right? So
You can set.
that
I think
yeah.
the best thing for a PM is that you can be ahead of execution, and by being ahead of execution, you can set the vision, you can set the direction, right? And that's really rewarding. You mentioned like helping your team, and I just finished reading this book called Multipliers. I don't know if you heard of it.
No.
You are a multiplier. So in the book they say there's two kinds of people, leaders. One is a diminisher that wants to build an empire, wants to have a lot of people under him or her, and the other side is the multiplier, a person that can like foster and help the team to, like, your superpower becomes their superpower, and then it just grows. So you multiply your team can do a lot more because you are a multiplier. So the way you described it's a perfect example of a multiplier. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
awesome.
take a look at that book. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I finished reading last
That's really
week.
cool. What does this next phase look like at Intuit as opposed to Adobe? Are you? I'm actually curious too. Also, are you doing like parallel roles, and so it's just a new product, new team, or are you totally shifting? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, at Adobe I was a PM on one tool like Adobe XD. And here at Intuit, I'm the role is principal product manager for IDS. IDS is their design system, Intuit design system. Um, and Intuit has 50 million users today, and they acquired another company called Credit Karma, and that makes them over
Wow,
100 million users. And
out of
I say
control.
they, I should say we now because it's
Yeah.
and I still say we about Adobe. It's crazy, yeah. But what I'm doing is I'm responsible for creating this new design system that will be unique. Like, so all the products could have, when you look at some UI, you'll be able to say, oh, this is Intuit. And that's a huge challenge because every product has their own like processes and build systems and deployment timings. Like it's crazy. So my challenge is really unify all that. Of course, working with a ton of designers, a ton of developers, and it's almost like taking DSP to the next level, to a much bigger level. They want to go from a house of brands to a branded house. So it's really really interesting, awesome challenge. And I could be terrified by that, right? But my approach is really, they're just people. I'm going to speak with the users, the customers, in this case, designers and developers. And we're going to find problems. We're going to unpack problems. And slowly we're going to test hypotheses and iterate. So that's my approach. That keeps me calm.
It's so interesting because when I first had my an interaction with an Intuit product, and that was through Mint.
Yes, man.
I remember just thinking, "Oh, Mint is amazing," and then I created my account with Mint and all that. I was super happy, and then by tax season time, now I was like, "Okay, I need to do taxes," and then everybody said, "Oh, you have this product." I just forgot it. Turbotax.
TurboTax, yeah.
Yeah, so okay, with TurboTax, now I do my taxes. And then I realized, oh, they're actually under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
And then when I opened my my company to handle like taxes like from a different level, I was using QuickBooks also from Intuit.
Yeah.
So I can totally see where you're coming from, like changing that perspective, because you don't necessarily feel it's everything it's Intuit, but you feel there's an identity for TurboTax, there's an identity for Mint, and there's an identity for QuickBooks. So
Yeah, we want
it's
to.
a big challenge.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge, and it'll be a lot of like work with people. But again, it's just people, right? I've done a conference for 1,000 people with my mom, and I just grew up, so that I didn't die, you know. So
Yeah.
I'll survive. It should be
Yeah.
fun, yeah. But it's really
I,
exciting, and yeah, yeah, I'm really up for the challenge.
I love that mindset, right? Because it can be really daunting to change jobs, and now you have like a whole new team that you need to prove yourself, and then that's really overwhelming for a lot of people. You know, they get blocked by
Yeah,
that mindset, and then they don't switch jobs. Maybe they keep working at a place that they are unhappy because they are afraid of, okay, like now I have to convince all these people again that I'm good, that I'm worthy.
and that
You
and
know.
that and that can be really tricky too. Like I would, and I fell into that trap when I joined Adobe because of all of my past with Flash and everything. I really wanted to prove myself, and for the first 2 years, that was such a big stress. And when I just gave up on that and focused on really doing the job, everything got so much better, you know. And then when I did DSP, I was kind of free and doing everything from the heart and not trying to prove anything, just do it and doing the best way possible. And again, that was the highlight of my career so far. And now that I'm 40 years old, all these different experiences, and I joined into it, I'm very decided to not try to prove myself. I'll do my best job, the best job I can. And again, because I validated this approach in many other opportunities, right? And they hired me for a reason. They offered me the position. They took me out of Adobe, which was impossible in my mind. And now I will do my best. And I know that trying to prove myself will only add stress to already like a very stressful job. But again, maybe it's hard to do. I'll try.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like? How do you see this? This participation that you had, like building GSP, the design system package, right? A spec for design systems. Like how I was a part of the customer advisory board, and I remember like watching your presentations and looking how you conduct those meetings and how you were like orchestrating this big group of people to get feedback to your product. Like how hard it was to put together that group and just maintain the momentum, because everybody, they have their jobs, they have the
Yeah.
problems that they need to solve, right? But here you are like trying to put people together to solve this one specific use case. So how was it?
That was amazing. And again, I think everyone understood the problem. Everyone understood that that was a real problem, a big problem. and everyone wanted to collaborate. So what I created was a forum for collaboration, right? So I was just putting things to start debates, discussions, and you guys were running it. I was just validating and invalidating the steps. So again, putting people together, amazing people. Like we have people from like you guys, Dracula, and then Google, HP, Disney, Amazon, like all these big players were there. And
Yeah.
again, I could be very intimidated by all that, but I was like, man, let's do this thing. Let's just try the best work we can. And it ended up being something, as I would say, a first step in this new era of design systems and connection in between design and code. uh, I got even like approached with like praises from competitors saying, oh, I heard great things about your work there, good job. But again, that was never the goal. The goal was to solve this problem with the best help I could get, and you guys were up for the challenge. And also like finding like what's in it for them, like for you guys, right? I was always looking
Yeah.
for you guys, Dracula, like the UI, you needed visibility, so I offer that to you guys, right? And same thing with, I don't know, the material design team at Google. They wanted to expose their tokens to the world, so they wanted to validate what would be the best process to do that. So that kind of interaction was amazing. It has to be beneficial to everyone involved, and that was what we were able to create in those like 6 or 7 months of work.
It's amazing. I actually uh, using TurboTax was one of the first systems that I finished using the tool, and I was wowed. Most products are you sometimes there's nuances that you notice. Oh, that was really nice. Uh, UX there, or oh, the way they knew that about me because they asked this other question or something. But the massive amount of complexity of doing
Yeah.
taxes and the way that they make that so approachable is amazing. And I'm sure that's gonna get even better with your influence. So we're super excited. We have
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of tools that we like, we always ask the same question every guest that we have, and that is, what is something that's on your desk? So it could be a physical thing, it could be software on your computer, your phone, or whatever. What is something that you're in love with? Yes, for those that can't hear, 14 Habits. Shameless plug.
Yeah, we want to hear like
My
your
hack.
productivity hacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a notepad that I always use. It's like, and I also have another notepad that it's kind of a secret. Like everything that I use product wise, like every little note that I remember, like different frameworks, different tactics. But it's pretty simple. It's really tracking. I have two monitors. I have notepads that I take notes with all the time, and I think it's more on the digital side. I block my calendar for time to do stuff. Um, what else?
So
Sometimes,
you block for yourself, right?
yes,
Not for
yes.
out.
I just create like 3 hours per day just to do stuff. Otherwise I can get sucked into meetings. I also um, really try like to plan what I'll do and start with the hard part first, so it gives me that sense of completion. Sometimes I even give up on email. I don't know if it's that good, if it's good or bad, but with Slack and everything, it was easier to, like, especially in the last days of DSP, like before the launch, I just gave up on email. It was impossible for me to keep answering emails if I had to release this thing with you guys and run the launch event. Yeah, I would say block time in my calendar. Always have a notepad around you to take notes, and as a PM, prioritize. I prioritize what needs to be done and what's okay to not do in order to get the other things done, the most important things done, and just be okay with that. Like you're not a Superman. Yeah.
The art of saying no, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So true. So true. Yeah. In a polite way, maybe even like customer feedback. Like I remember on the XD days, everyone was like, "Yeah, I want this and that." I was like, "Oh, nice. I'll add to the backlog.
Yes.
I'll share with the team." And you share maybe, but it's you capture that feedback, right? But it's a very polite way of uh, saying no, right? Yeah.
That's right. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks again, Demian. This was great. Great to hear from you, and thanks for your time.
No problem. Thanks, guys. This is awesome.